Sergeant James Mant, Corporal Robert McCowan, Flying Officer John McGill, Flight Sergeant Ian McGugan, Pilot Officer Eric McLeod, Flight Sergeant Ian McManus, Flight Sergeant William McQueen, Flight Sergeant Graham Medhurst, Flying Officer Murray Millett, Flying Officer Keith Mills, Flight Sergeant Edward Naylor, Pilot Officer Garth Neal, Telegraphist Robert Newton, Pilot Officer Charles North, Sergeant Desmond Parkinson, Flight Lieutenant Charles Parry Okerden, Pilot Officer Charles Peirce, Pilot Officer Ross Philp, Pilot Officer Henry Plant, Flying Officer Bruce Poole, Warrant Officer Robert Quine, Flying Officer Norman Randall, Private Colin Robertson, Pilot Officer Ian Robertson, Sergeant Kenneth Robertson, Bombardier Conlon Rutter, Sub-Lieutenant John Ryder, Lieutenant Wallace Sanderson, Aircraftman Class 2 Guy Saunders, Flight Lieutenant George Saywell, Flight Sergeant Evan Shannon, Flight Sergeant Mervyn Simpson, Gunner Jeffrey Singer, Flying Officer William Slaughter, Leading Aircraftman Edwin Snell, Lieutenant Ronald Soden, Flying Officer Harold St. George, Captain Llewellyn Stevens, Flying Officer Eric Stevenson, Sergeant Robert Stevenson, Corporal Harley Strenzel, Private John Tancred, Major Charles Thalander, Pilot Officer Ernest Thompson, Sergeant George Thompson, Sergeant Noel Tuill, Ordinary Seaman John Wallace Barnett, Sergeant Alan Watson, Flight Sergeant Dennis Webb, Flying Officer Raymond Whiting, Private Clarence Wilson, Bombardier John Wyth, Korean War, Flight Lieutenant Ian Percy, Afghanistan, Captain Bryce Duffy, Old boys who lost their lives in the line of duty while in the service of their country, Williamtown, New South Wales, Flying Officer Craig Mackelman, Nias, Indonesia, Squadron Leader Dr. Paul McCarthy, Catherine, Northern Territory, Wing Commander Ross Fox, East Sale, Victoria, Pilot Officer Martin Burke. Thank you, gentlemen.